I got shot right here, gang. Oh, bro, I got shot.
Convicted a Chicago man of committing murder to boost clout in a street gang.
I'm 79 from Evans. EvansMobb.
Shot and killed 23 to keep his position in the EvansMobb street gang.
Real life EvansMobb. I'm real life.
79th Street, Merchant. There's a specific kind of cold on the south side that settles in the bricks. It ain't just the wind off the lake, it's the weight of every name that didn't make it to 21. You locked in with Hood Edition, where we look past the tape and into the soul of the trenches. See, Chatham ain't just a neighborhood no more. It's a chessboard where every move costs a life. When EvansMobb and Hit Squad ink that blood bond, they turn these avenues into a lead-scented pressure cooker. On Phonem, this ain't a map of Chicago, it's a ledger of debts that never get settled in full. It's a cold reality, folks. A shorty hops on his bike hoping for a breeze, and it turns into a final ride in broad daylight. That one moment, one bike ride, changed the frequency of 79th Street forever. We talking about 17-year-old Julio, merchant. His light was extinguished before he could even hit his stride, and Hood Edition knows that wasn't just a loss. It was a spark that lit a fire no one knows how to put out. You ready to see how deep this rabbit hole goes? We going behind the murals on Phonem. Let's get into it.
Take a walk with me. We going back to 2012, Merchant. Specifically, we landed in August, that late summer heat where the pavement stays cooking on 79th long after the sun starts to dip. It was the 24th day. East Chatham was breathing heavy, and on the 7900 block of Drexel, the vibe was deceptive. You had 17-year-old Lucian Drew, the field knew him as Julio, just posted at the low. But he wasn't the only one sliding through the rack that day. Out of the shadows, a reaper on a mountain bike emerged. No tires screeching, no engine revving, just the cold, quiet rotation of pedals. This wasn't just a random scoon. The streets and the law later stamped this as Nico, a high-profile heavy hitter repping that EvansMobb flag. Before anyone could even tuck their chain, Nico let the lead bark. A heavy rain of lead tore through the Drexel air. Julio was struck multiple times, collapsing right there on the concrete as Nico pedaled back into the south side maze like a ghost in the wind. At 6:25 p.m., Julio's light went out. Right there, the tragedy was set in stone. Nico from EvansMobb ended up catching an 80-year stretch. The state basically boxed him up and threw away the keys for the fall of Julio. Once that lead sang on Drexel, there wasn't no turning back on Phonem. Nah, fast forward the clock, jump with me to 2019, July 16th, nighttime in the south side. The air was thick with that heavy pressure that comes when the seesaw of the street starts to tilt. EvansMobb and Hottyway had been trading static for a minute, and that night the friction finally caught fire. A veteran in the field, a name that carried weight under the Hottyway umbrella, was moving through the shadows. The streets knew him as Butter, but the shadows he was walking through, they wasn't empty. Bones, Jerome Buchanan from that EvansMobb and Hit Squad circle, was the one who allegedly made the low hot. Merchant. The word is Bones was the primary one who let the lead sang. 2 nights before, scouts from the EvansMobb family tree were already checking the temp, tracking Butter's every move. It wasn't just a moment, it was a coordinated hunt by the EvansMobb and Hit Squad alliance on Phonem. In the aftermath, word is Bones did the dash, fled the state looking for a safe haven up in Wisconsin, trying to dodge the heat from the law and the rival sets looking for that get back. It was another chapter written in betrayal and blood by the EvansMobb name. Another name carved into the concrete. On Phonem, the cycle just keeps spinning.
Now take a walk with me to November 11th, 2019.
That Chicago pressure spilled all the way in the country club hills that day. Merchant. It was broad daylight, mid-afternoon, right at the intersection of 167th and Pulaski. A heavyweight name in the field, Tavares Taylor, better known as Lil Reese. Was caught in a clinical scone. No warning, no conversation, just the sound of lead flying right in the middle of suburban traffic. When 2:30 p.m. hit, the scene was messy. Fresh red was pooling on the pavement, but the guys had already whisked Reese away before the sirens could even get close. Reese was hanging on through a thread, fighting a reaper after catching a catastrophic shot to the neck.
Chicago rapper was shot this afternoon in the South.
Better known as Lil Reese is in critical condition this afternoon with a gunshot wound to the neck.
The rapper was targeted by a gunman who pursued him through traffic, opening fire with a small rifle at a business.
That news sent a chill through the whole drill scene across the globe. Now, while the suits over in Country Club Hill still got the case on the back burner with no cuffs on nobody, the streets already stamped a name on it. Word on the block pointed straight to the EvansMobb circle. Specifically, allegations hit the pavement that Butter was the one who let the lead sing. It was the peak of that volatile friction between Reese and 79th Street, a rivalry that almost reached the final chapter in a suburban intersection on Phonem. Now, fast forward the clock to August 15th, 2021. We move in the South Shore, the 7900 block of South Manistee Avenue, Merchant. Around 11:30 p.m., the shadows turned lethal for 19-year-old Michael Brown, known to the field as Lil Mike. He was repping Frank Block and Sosa Gang, but that night he was walking right into a storm. When the lead started flying, witnesses saw Lil Mike trying to hop a gate to duck the scoom, but the shooters closed the gap before he could even touch the top. He caught a heavy rain of lead and turned into a ghost right there on Manistee. It was a massive hit to the Mickey Cobras. Now, while the law was looking at a blank wall with no suspects in their books, the internet was already on fire. The Rock immediately pointed the finger at specific rivals. Word was Taco World, and specifically Lil Tay, was in the mix. That rumor was stamped by a story that got deleted off the gram, a clip showing Lil Tay walking on South Manistee just an hour before the hardware barked. But listen, other voices in the trenches and rival sets have always linked EvansMobb to that execution. They point to that deep-seated pressure between EvansMobb and Frank Block that's been boiling for years. Whether it was a backdoor or a straight hunt, the shooters vanished into the South Shore night like they was never there. Another name carved in the concrete, another family left searching for answers. On Phonem, the cycle just keeps spinning. Slide with me back to October 2nd, 2018. We landing deep in Greater Grand Crossing where the air was heavy. Merchant. Around 12:30 a.m. at the Falcon Fuel Station on 79th, the energy shifted. Anthony Carter, the street stamped in Mucci, repping Drill City and Del Mar, was just posted by the whip when a shadow emerged from the void. No tires screeching, no engine revving, just a cold silence before a single wicked slug caught Mucci in the head. The shooter vanished into the night as Mucci hit the pavement. Now check the mystery. At first, the law and the morgue suits had him clocked as a ghost, but Mucci had a glitch in the matrix. In the mood that cheated the Reaper, he stayed breathing, even though he was trapped behind them white walls for years. Family would pull up to the hospice hoping for a sign, and he'd occasionally react to a face from his past, fighting a war his body already lost while the hitter stayed in the wind. The street stamped this work on EvansMobb and Hit Squad, just more lead added to the fire on 79th, on Phonem. Switch the lens, we going back to December 27th, 2009, Chatham, Chicago. The holiday lights didn't stop the friction from heating up the south side. It was a Sunday, 7:30 p.m., when the residential silence on South Evans Avenue was ripped apart.
People in the cribs heard that hardware barking, 7 to 8 rounds tearing through the winter chill. When the sirens finally hit the low, they found a whip turned into a strainer, the back glass completely shattered by the scoon. Inside that whip was 22-year-old Myron Thomas Jr. The Rock knew him as Myron, repping Whiz City. He was slumped over the wheel with a catastrophic slug to the head. By 8:36 p.m., his light was extinguished for good. While the detectives were looking at a blank wall with no suspects, the low told the whole story. Myron was caught lacking deep in the heart of EvansMobb. Street law immediately tied the move to the growing hate between Whiz City and the sets on Evans. The shooters faded into the winter mist, leaving behind a lead-filled car and another name added to the blood feud of 79th. On Fonem, the concrete keeps every name we lost, but the wind don't ever whisper back. Just another shadow in the rock.
Witness the atmosphere on June 19th, 2020, Chatham, Chicago. High noon on South Evans, but the sun couldn't burn off the chill in the air. Merchant. Around 11 a.m., Trey Young, stamped by the world as Trey Savage, a heavyweight under MTV 079 and Glory Boy royalty, had just left his rib side when the street lights might as well have gone out. As he started to roll, a white Mazda ghosted up alongside his metal. One Reaper unleashed a heavy storm of lead. Trey caught it in the neck and shoulder, but his whip kept chasing the horizon on pure momentum, plowing through 3 parked whips before the engine finally went silent. His lady rushed to the wreck, pulling him from the driver's seat while the world went chaotic, but Trey was already fading into the mist. He hit the University of Chicago, but his light was too low to catch. For 10 months, the suits were chasing smoke, but by April 2021, the law cornered Demetri Jackson down in Texas. See, the ghost trails at a local spot caught that signature rock in his walk, that staggered step that put a name to the face, linking him to that Mazda found turning to ash in the alleyway the next day. A veteran of the Glory Boy circle had fallen on the very concrete he turned into poetry. On Fodem, the concrete keep every name we lost, but the wind don't ever whisper back. Just another shadow in the rack. Shift the timeline to December 23rd, 2014, Southside, Chicago. The holiday spirit was executed by a cold-blooded pilot inside a crowded market. At 3:15 p.m., Glenn Houston Jr., known to the trenches as GMAC, repping MTV, was navigating the aisles when the doors opened to a predator. In a move that was as bold as it was ice cold, a gunman walked straight into the spot, produced that hardware, and let it bark at close range. GMAC hit the floor right there among the groceries as the crowd scrambled for their lives. 2 days before Christmas, his flame was snuffed out. The pilot did the dash on his own too, vanishing into the winter gray before the law could even draw a circle. Later, the suits put out that hunting lens work, showing the pilot's calculated stride, hoping for a snitch, but the trenches already knew the frequency. Word hit the pavement heavy that this was just more static from that EvansMobb friction. GMAC was gone, another debt added to a ledger that never gets paid in full. Peep the frequency of April 6, 2012. Chatham, Chicago. Midday on 81st Street was supposed to be a breeze, but the atmosphere was glitching. Merchant. Around 12:25 p.m., 17-year-old Jaden Armstrong, known to the pavement as Chiraq, repping Drill City and Whiz City, was stepping with his tribe when the Reaper manifested in the middle of the block. One of the guys peeped him immediately, shouting out the name Suicide, just as Wine Robinson let the hardware bark. A second shadow joined the schoon, and together they rained 25 slugs into the afternoon. In a frantic scramble to stay on this side of the dirt, Chiraq and his homie dove behind the yellow metal of a school bus. Imagine the betrayal. Chiraq's homie was screaming at Robinson,
a man he'd been tight with for 10 years, begging him to let up, but the lead didn't have a name on it. They turned that bus into a strainer, and a stray slug caught Chiraq in the leg. His homie hauled him all the way to a storefront on Cottage Grove, but Chiraq's flame was flickering out. He slipped into the mist at Christ Medical Center. Check the cold part. That night, Robinson allegedly hit up his old friend trying to patch the hole with words, claiming Chiraq was never the target, that the iron was looking for a different ghost. He did the dash through Indiana and Michigan, trying to outrun his shadow, but the towers was talking to the suits. Signals and street whispers locked him into the low. The law eventually cornered him at his mother's crib, boxing him up, while the second shadow stayed in the wind. Chiraq was gone. Another young soul snuffed out by a hollow sorry and a blind scoon. The street lights on 79th don't show no mercy, and the concrete don't forgive. Keep your head on the swivel, 'cause in the rack, the shadows always got eyes. We out.